So this is my first Passport Bros video where mostly Western men are leaving their countries and they're moving abroad overseas looking for their soulmates. They're looking for a good quality woman that for some reason they can't find in their countries. They want a woman that they can have a great time with, possibly bring kids into this world, have a family, and spend the rest of their lives with. Now, a lot of these men are just looking for exotic women to sleep around with, but a lot of men also want to have a soulmate to spend the rest of their lives with. I myself am one of these men, and I am long overdue for this trip. I myself, like these men, are looking abroad overseas in the first place due to the letdowns, disappointments, and countless reasons from trying to date modern Western women over the years. So without further ado, let's get into this video.
Mommy, what's up? What's your... Yeah, maybe. Free... What's your name?
Diana.
Diana. Oh my God. Yo. You got WhatsApp?
Yes. What's up, baby? You don't chica right now, baby?
Not right now, because I'm going to meet my friend, go pick him up for breakfast. I mean, for lunch.
Okay.
I will.
Okay.
I will.
Niggas talking about passport bros this, passport bros that. This the type of woman you niggas going across seas to get? The same type of bitch you can get in America? A bitch that obviously she wants this nigga because she thinks this nigga got some money and he from America, so he out here ready to trick off on the bitch. These the type of niggas you want? You niggas just want to go overseas and trick and not stay here and trick because the bitches here might not talk to you as nice. Man, fuck all that. They are the same bitches that y'all say y'all leaving America for. The problem is, it be you niggas. The way you niggas present yourself, the way you niggas act. Yes, y'all smell, look, and act like licks. You know what I'm saying? There are women that has approached me, and they might have said some money shit, and I got around that shit, and they never got no money out of me. I've never got with a girl that used me for money because I let them know from the rip, I'm not that type of...
You guys, I just figured out what the passport bro trend is. Never did I know what this was. I kept getting so many comments and I finally decided to look it up. A lot of people were trying to connect the trad wife movement with the passport bro trend and how they're similar. So yeah, let's unpack this. So if you don't know what the passport bro trend is, it's where men are coming to the conclusion that there's not as many ultra feminine, submissive, and traditional women in the Western part of the world, such as the United States. And they're packing their bags. They're out. They're getting their passports and they're going to Europe. They're going to the Philippines. They're going to countries where traditional women are more common and traditional values are practiced more. I did see this toxic hookup culture part of the passport bro trend, and I do not agree with hookup culture or anything like that. However, the underlying reason this is a thing is because men are realizing that women in the Western part of the world are really chasing after money, independence, a career, and these men want women who ultimately just want to be a wife and a mother, and they're submissive and they're traditional. And yes, there's pros and cons to this idea, just like anything. I mean, I don't necessarily think you have to leave the country that you are in to find a wife, but there have been men who have left the country to find their wife. So now I'm going to chime in with my thoughts. What are the possible cultural differences happening here? Personally, I see women here in the United States chasing independence and freedom away from their family. Statistically, the number of single 18 and 19-year-old girls getting into apartments or living situations with roommates has skyrocketed. Why? They don't want to live with their parents and be told what to do. Whereas in these other countries where traditional values are practiced more, these girls are staying close to their family or living with their family until they find their husbands. These women and young girls are getting guidance from these male figures in their family, such as their dad or their brothers. They're protected from outside interference and influence from their family. It makes sense. The idea of living with your parents past the age of 18 is kind of looked down upon here in the United States. Like, oh, you live with your parents still? Yeah, what's wrong with that? You're protected, you have guidance, and you're waiting for your husband. You don't have to work crazy hours to support yourself. It makes sense. My conclusion is I understand why this is a thing. There's pros and cons, but I get it.
Some advice to passport bros coming from a passport cis, because I came to Thailand over 10 years ago and I fell in love my first day here in Koh Samui with my husband, who is Thai. I was never planning on coming here to meet a man, but that's what ended up happening. So a lot of men, they come here and they're hoping to meet a woman who's more feminine and more will fulfill that, I guess, the feminine role that they're looking for. And that is what I was attracted to my husband, not the feminine role, but I was attracted to my husband Watt because he was very masculine. When we would go out, he was very extremely protective of me. I felt safe. I loved that feeling of feeling like, wow, this is a masculine man who would kick somebody or kill somebody if they hurt me. I love that feeling, and he's always been so protective of me and wouldn't hesitate to knock someone out if I was in danger, and I didn't always feel that in past relationships. And I think there is an imbalance in the West, or coming from an American perspective, of the role of men and women. And personally, I have been in work situations where I felt like I didn't get the same advantages as men, but I didn't stay in those businesses in that, in that work environment long. I would find another job. And I have always used being a woman to my advantage. And I think there's a lot of advantages to being a woman. And I've never focused on being a victim because of my gender. And I have a successful YouTube channel where I get a lot of comments, and most of them are good, but I do get a lot of negative comments. And I noticed that a lot of the negative comments were from women, and women need to take responsibility for that. Why we feel like we need to tear another woman down, maybe because we see that she has something that we don't have, or because of jealousy. A lot of the misogyny actually comes from other women and not from men. It's important to not blame other people for our problems, to take responsibility and take ownership and know that we can find a solution and that we can overcome. And if you have that mindset, that's going to work to your advantage. Now, for relationships, relationship wise, if you come and you meet a person of another culture, like I met a Thai man, you have to realize that there's going to be huge cultural differences. And the biggest issues in relationships is trust and communication. And the trust, you should be able to deal with that kind of soon. Like, you could see if someone is trustworthy, and you don't want to be with a cheater, and you should look at their family. Like, is their mom a cheater? Is their dad a cheater? Their brother and sister? Like, do they come from a family that is faithful? Or their friends, are they surrounded by friends who have a history of cheating? Do they have a history of cheating? Then communication, that's really hard, to be honest, to learn how to communicate, because Southeast Asians, they don't communicate the same way as Americans, as Europeans, because they tend to be in the now. They don't like to talk about the past, and they don't really like to focus too much on the future. It's much more of the Buddhist mindset of living in the now. But that shouldn't stop you from having a successful relationship. The biggest challenge for me was that I'm a deep thinker, and I like long conversations, and I like to talk about the world. And Watt, my husband, is just different. My husband is a simple man, and I can't have those types of conversations with him. But you know what? I am able to explain complex things to him in a simple way, and that's been good for me and for my brain, and to learn how to break things down simply. And he can give me wise advice on his perspective of that. But what I've done is that I've actively gone out and sought friends, good friends who aren't going to drag me into drinking and drugs, friends who are loyal and who have my back. And you have to do that continuously as an expat if you decide to live in another country, because you're going to always have people coming and going, and that's the reality of it. So it can be very lonely, but as long as you have love in your relationship and you love that person, you can make it work.
So I saw a video about this passport bro guy on Instagram, right? Showing like a little vlog of him taking his girlfriend out on a date. He started off the video by taking out like $80. He was showing you how he's spoiling his girlfriend, right? Like he got her like a lash service and like nails. And then he said, oh, I'm gonna test her after I did all this for her, to taking her on a date to 7-Eleven. She's like, oh, I love it. You do so much already for me. And inside the 7-Eleven was like actually like a restaurant, like a club inside. And it was like a cute little club. My thing is, I commented this on my video. I'm like, and also he spent $80 on a date, like $80. Like, come on. And I commented, oh, I get all this from men in the US and Miami. Like, you guys are just broke and don't date beneath your means in the United States. So you guys go to other countries to be able to afford the women that you want to date instead of working hard to afford the women you want to date in the United States, right? As you guys can expect, so many men got mad at me. Are we surprised that I got so emotional? My point is, and you're never going to change my mind about this, currency for women is looks and beauty, and currency for men is regular currency, like money. The society that men built for us, doesn't matter if a woman doesn't have any money, but if she's pretty, she's gonna be able to get ahead in life, right? But if a man is ugly and he works hard and he has money, he's gonna be able to get ahead in life, like finding a wife. So instead of this man working harder to afford the woman that he wants to have in the United States, he cheapened out. He went the cheap route and then went to another country to find a girlfriend, which is totally fine for him, right? The thing is, the men in the comments were coming at me for saying that I expect this kind of stuff for men in the United States. This girl and I are the same thing. She's expecting nice things too. She expects her man to pay for her lashes, nails, get her flowers, take her on amazing dates. The only difference between her and I, or women in the United States and her, is that these men are able to afford her. They don't have an issue with her wanting those things. They have an issue with the fact that they can't afford it in the United States, but they can cheapen out and do it in other countries. They were calling me all these slurs, saying that I'm an HOE, that I'm a gold digger. When her and I date the same. We date the same type of men that we want providers, do things for us, like taking us to nice dinners, pay for our nails, like take care of us and be a provider. But you guys are mad at me because you can't afford it in the United States, but you are able to do it in Thailand or Vietnam, right? Like $80 is not a lot of money. $80 is what I spent on like a lazy Wednesday night where like my mom and I are like, hey, do you want to go get some tacos and like margaritas or something? And we go and spend $100 on this. Like we're going in sweatpants and like a t-shirt. Like that's like $80 is like, it's not like a big thing. It might be a big thing for you, but for a lot of people in the United States, it's kind of an average, regular meal out. It's not like a big fancy meal. They're not going over there to date women that are working hard and paying 50-50 and they're like manteniéndolos a ellos. They're going over there to do the same things they would do in America, but they can't afford it, so they go to another country to do it. So I don't understand why I'm a gold digger and why women in the United States are gold diggers. They want the same things. It's just that you are able to afford it there and you're not able to afford it here. Imagine if a conventionally unattractive American woman was saying, oh, I can't find a good looking man to want to date me, so I'm gonna go to another country and I'm gonna pay him to go out on dates with me and whatever. You guys would be coming at for that woman, saying she can't find nobody in the United States who she can't afford, and because she's not pretty, she's not a conventionally attractive woman. So just admit that you're broke and you guys can't afford to date the types of women you want to date here, because I'm sure there's a lot of women would date you that would probably split bills with you, but that they're not as attractive as you might want them to be. But it's because you're not able to afford really attractive women. So the problem isn't women in the West are asking for too much, is that you're not able to afford it. So you go do the same exact things that women in the West are asking for and do it in a price that you are able to afford. And just admit that. Women in the West don't have a problem with you doing whatever you want to do, because we're not looking to date broke bums. But just admit that you're doing the same shit you would do if you were actually rich in the United States. You're doing it in another country just because you can't afford it here.
Please like, subscribe, share, and drop your comments below. Part 2 coming soon.